Hello everybody, this is going to be my gym guide for beginners. In part one, we'll be covering training, all you need to know. We're going to be covering the exercise split, the sets, the reps, and the intensity you need to work at, the exercises you should pick, and at the end, I'll give you a summary of everything I just talked about and an example workout. If you want, you could just skip to the end, the example workout, and just do that if you don't care about any of this stuff. So splits. Training splits is basically your gym schedule, what days you train what muscle groups. And they're actually really simple. You want your split to do 2 times frequency or 3 times a week frequency for each muscle group. What this means is that you're going to be training a muscle group, let's say for example your chest, at least 2 times a week. It's been shown that 2 times a week is like significantly better than 1 times a week. And it's basically been proven. You can't prove something in science, but it's beyond reasonable doubt that 2 times a week is better. 3 times a week is a little shaky though, so that's why just hit 2 times a week. 3 times a week isn't a hard recommendation. The next thing you want your split to do is fit your schedule and preferences. If you hate a split, don't force yourself to do it because it's optimal, quote unquote. Just don't. You're gonna hate it. You're not gonna train. It's just gonna ruin your experience. And next, you need to make sure your split gives you enough recovery time. You can't be training like really sore. It's gonna just decrease the quality of your workout by so much. It's just gonna make your training shit. Don't do it. Some examples of splits that are good. I run this one, upper lower. The reason I say any variation because a lot of people like to play around with rest days and how they program upper lower. So that's, but yeah, that's a good split. Push pull legs is another good one. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. You can run it full body every other day. This is the most optimal one. However, not really. And anterior posterior is another one that I know people do. Don'ts, a bro split or a split where you're gonna have 1 times a week frequency. Just don't do it. It's gonna be worse. If you really want, you could still grow on it. No one's saying you can't. Just it's not gonna be as good as the other ones, simply. Next, sets. So we're gonna do 1 to 2 sets per exercise with a 3 to 5 minute rest. The reason 1 to 2 sets is if you look over here, you'll see that the first set gives you the majority of your growth. The second one, going to give you a good amount too. By the third, already some diminishing returns. And by the fourth, yeah, you see how this flattens out. Now, an important thing to note, doing more sets will give you more growth. It's just that the amount of muscle damage that you incur is going to be much, much more. So you could just not do as much and recover better, right? And you not waste as much time in the gym because this is going to give you less and less muscle, less and less bang for your buck per set the more you do. But a lot of people say 1 to 2 is all you need for optimal. That's not true. Doing more is better, just slightly better. Don't do drop sets, don't do supersets. You can do them, but they're not that good. They're gonna drop sets, for example, they're gonna give you a high amount of muscle damage for very limited growth. So don't do that. And just a misconception I want to get out of the way because this is a huge misconception is muscle damage or micro tears or any idea like that is going to equal growth. That's not true. That's stupid. Don't. It was proven wrong long ago. Mechanical tension is the only driver of growth that we know of and likely the only one. Okay? Um, oh, I'll explain warm-up sets too. So warm-ups, you literally just want your body to get a higher temperature, right? So you that could be doing anything. You could sit in a hot car, you could just do some cardio, my preferred one. Get onto a treadmill or an elliptical, just do a 5 minutes of cardio. It's a great warm up. Get your body a little hot. But for your warm ups, the reason why you're gonna I say grab a heavyish weight and just do like 1 rep or 2 reps, is because you're gonna activate this I don't remember the exactly what it's called. I'll put it in later. But it's basically going to allow you to do more weight on your next set, on your working set, as we like to call it. Um, is going to allow you to do more weight and more reps on that one. Next, reps and intensity. So this is something called the stimulating reps model, which basically says that it doesn't matter how many reps you do as long as you're sufficiently close to muscular failure, right? So let's say I did a set to 15, right? And I reached muscular failure, and I did a set to uh, 8 reps, and I also reached muscular failure. It's going to give me the same amount of growth because I had the same amount of stimulating reps. Now, I can get into the reasoning behind all of this, but I doubt you guys will enjoy that. I could, if you want, later, in a later video, but I don't think people are going to be very interested in that. But just know that this model works, but at the same time, some evidence for it is lacking, and like the numbers are sort of arbitrary. So why 5 reps? It's a little arbitrary, but this makes a lot of volume debates kind of useless. And this is what more research needs to be done on this, obviously. But pretty much know that rep ranges are kind of bullshit as long as you go to failure. So why do I recommend here 6 to 8 reps? Because this is the amount of reps that you're going to get enough stimulating reps at the same time. Think about a set that you do to 30. Like you're going to, muscles are going to be burning. You're not going to be focused that much on doing your set. Your perceived um, effort is going to be so high, it's going to prevent you from actually working super hard. Don't confuse burn with like intensity either. Just don't. It's not the same thing. People will say that, oh, you could really feel the burn on this exercise. It's not the same thing. Go run a marathon and see how much you grow when you compare it to squatting, okay? It's not the same. Oh, this little line here, close to failure, to RIR, it means reps in reserve. So how many reps you have before you reach muscular failure or concentric failure. It's a more appropriate term. So this basically means you can stop shy around 2 reps before you think like if you do 2 more reps, then you won't be able to do another one. For me, I try to go to 0 reps in reserve, so to failure, because it's going to be just more practical for me. Uh, but you don't have to do this, and this isn't technically the most optimal way to train. Exercise selection. A lot of people will make this very complicated because it sort of is, but the majority of your like exercise selection doesn't really matter, okay? Intensity is going to be the number 1 factor, but here's how to select a good exercise. You want the exercise to effectively target the muscle you want. So you don't squat to grow your shoulders, okay? Your shoulders aren't being worked in that exercise. Kind of obvious, right? You want the exercise to be stable. Now, the reason why is because you're going to be able to recruit more muscle fibers in an exercise when you're focused on other things. Think about it like this. Let's say you're doing a bicep curl on the ground where you have, just a very stable setup. Your arm is under a pad and you're just doing a preacher curl. You're very focused on that curl, right? All your attention is placed as moving the weight as much as you can. But now imagine you're doing that same curl on like a tightrope. Are you going to be focused on doing the curl? No, you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't want to fall. I know that's a little extreme, but it conveys the point I want, where the more stable you are, typically, the better um, you're going to be able to recruit muscle fibers to do the exercise. This third one, progression. What do you mean by that? Well, certain exercises are a little hard to progress, especially like calisthenics movements. So if you're doing anything calisthenics, it's a little hard to add weight on them. You can still do it. Like for pull-ups, you can, get a weighted belt. For dips, weighted belt as well. But like for leg stuff for calisthenics, you can't really progress it, right? Or like one-arm pull-ups. So just if you're in a gym, most of this stuff doesn't matter because you're going to be working with machines and free weights where you can just add more weight, but just be careful with this one. And fourth, how much you enjoy the movement. If you don't like an exercise, don't force yourself to do it. There's going to be variations that you can do. If it's not available to you, don't stress. You could do another movement. Personal preference matters because if you really hate an exercise, then just don't do it. Like if you can't feel your lats on a lat pull down, no matter how hard you try, and don't worry if you're a beginner, I didn't feel them also. I feel them now. Stick with them for a little bit. Um, but if you really enjoy pull-ups, do pull-ups, dude. Um, it's fine. It's the same thing basically, because it targets the same muscle and it does the same action, just kind of, pulling your arms inward. In pull-ups, you pull yourself up, but in a lat pull down, you pull a bar down. You're still doing the same thing though. Here are the muscle groups that you need to train and how many exercises you should do for each, right? So I'm gonna start off here with the chest. So your chest has two big portions of it, or not big portions, one smaller one and one bigger. So there's gonna be your like middle and lower chest. This is I think your, no, can't remember the head names actually. Anyways, mid lower chest. And then there's your upper chest. So you want an exercise that hits your upper chest and then one exercise that hits your middle and lower chest. Um, Now for your shoulders, shoulder training is a little bit weird because there's three major like heads of it, but a lot of the exercises hit both or just one. So you could do a maximum of three exercises for this, or you could literally just do one. It'll kind of depend if you're doing other exercises, but just know there's a front delt, a side delt, and a rear delt, like a back. Right here is your back delt. Here's your front delt, and on the side there's your side delt. Biceps, that's literally just one big thing. You can't differentiate between two heads of the biceps. It's been shown. There's also the brachioradialis, which isn't shown here, which is kind of like part of your forearms. You should probably train it. You don't have to though. Moving over here, there's your abs. These perform spinal flexion. Don't do like silly just like core exercises, which you just like, oh my God, my core is burning. Yeah, because it's stabilizing something usually. Just do spinal flexion, so like bending of the spine with weight. Moving on to your legs, there's your quads. So for this, you're gonna want to do a you could just do a leg extension, honestly. So just one exercise. Oh yeah, one exercise for this one, for your ab as well. You could do one exercise for your quads, and if you really want, you could do two. So just a leg extension and a squat pattern, or like leg press, hack squat, just a normal squat, pendulum squat. They're all going to do the same thing for you basically. Then let's move on to the back of your body. We already talked about the rear delt. There's going to be your tricep. Now triceps have three heads, so you're going to need two exercises. Wait, three heads, two exercises. Yeah. The first two, medial and lateral head, they're going to do the same thing. So they're going to be trained in any tricep movement, really. Now there's your long head of the triceps, where you need your arm to be still and just make sure you have an exercise, a tricep exercise, where your arm is still and you're extending from your elbow. Just make sure you have that. You can have one exercise, but I'd recommend two. Now for your back, there's going to be your traps. There's going to be your mid, lower, and upper traps. You can train your upper traps separately. However, I don't really like how they look, I'll be honest, on people. So I kind of don't do it, but definitely train your mid and lower traps. They're very important. You can do this with like a type of Kelso shrug or just a row where you have your arms at like a 90-degree angle. Um, your lats and your infraspiratus or rhomboids, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to pull your arms down to your sides, and they're also going to like row inwards. A sagittal row, they call it, right? Make sure you have an exercise where you're working the frontal plane for this one, and one exercise where you're doing a sagittal row. Look those terms up if you don't really know. But yeah, so basically two exercises for the lats and infraspiratus. There's going to be what this diagram is missing is your erectors, your spinal erectors, kind of run down the side of your spine here. A lot of people call them a lower back muscle, but that's not true. They actually run all the way up to your neck. You're going to want some type of exercise where you have to hold your back straight, or you could literally just do an exercise where you have to like flex your spine. I'll just do a isometric, so where you just hold your spine because you don't really need direct spinal erector work. So yeah, there's going to be your glutes, your ass. The girls like to train this one. Guys, you should do it too. It's a very big muscle. I think it's the biggest muscle group in your body. Very important for athletics. Train this one, please. You just need, I think, honestly, two exercises for this one. There's going to be your hamstrings as well. You're going to need two exercises for this one. One where you're like a normal leg curl or yeah, hamstring curl, and like some type of hinge movement where you're so like a stiff leg deadlift, something like that, Romanian deadlift, which will also train your spinal erectors. So it's a good, very good exercise. For your glutes, circling back to this because I forgot to mention. Oh, this kind of includes it. You see this like, oh, here it is, abductor. So people like miss out on training the abductors and adductors, very confusing. But you should train them. They're like those machines. If you ever go to Planet Fitness, all the women are on them, where you have to like spread your legs out or put your legs in. Those are very important. You should train them. Your calves. A lot of people don't do them because they're kind of genetic. You probably should though, but it's kind of more of an accessory thing. So one exercise for these, and one exercise for your abductors, two for your like. Let's do a little recap. Sorry. One exercise for your calves, two for your hamstrings, one for your abductor, and one for your adductor. One for your glutes, so that's gonna be like a hip thrust or something. One for your abs, two for your lats, and then for spiratus. One for your traps, two maybe. Delts is gonna depend. Chest, two, and biceps, one exercise needed. Kind of forgot to cover an important topic. That is progression. So think back to here, right? You're going to need to get close to failure for muscle groups to get bigger, right? We have established that. But what happens when they already get bigger? Well, when they get bigger, those exercises and the weight that you were doing before is not going to be enough to get them bigger again eventually. So this is what we call progressive overload. And you're going to need this to get bigger and stronger continuously. I kind of forgot to talk about this. Very sorry. So I'm adding this in after recording. But the way you want to do this is you want to basically give yourself a desired like amount of reps that you can hit with good form. And then you know, oh, okay, I got to move the weight up. Let's just do an example where the guy does 100 reps for six, sorry, not 100 reps, does 100 pounds for 6 reps, right? Um, Once he sees that he could do 100 pounds for 10 reps, he knows that our example dude, he's gonna move the weight up just to keep in line with the same rep range. I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. Maybe, but here's gonna be like an example upper day for you. You could read it if you want in a lower day. Um, Here's basically the whole video summarized. Train 2 to 3 times per week. Train hard, close to failure or even to it. 1 to 2 sets per exercise, 6 to 8 reps. Thank you all for watching.